Welcome back, Walking Dead fans. This is, yes, episode 3 of Dead City. And I'm still recapping and reviewing this as a blind film critic. That's what I am. I usually watch things with audio description, but I'm also a huge Walking Dead fan. It's funny to love a series that doesn't love you back, and AMC absolutely refuses to ever add audio description to anything with The Walking Dead. So, there we go. I guess so. There we go. Actually, that's not true. AMC Plus does have audio description on Tales of the Walking Dead, but there are no Walking Dead characters in that. It's not helpful. So, yes, I'm still following this. Negan is still being Negan. Negan is Negan. This episode actually leans a little bit more into Negan than it does Maggie, but it does give Maggie an opportunity at least to have a few lines of dialogue that are meaningful in the process. We also get to learn a little bit more about the Croad and his captive, which is that cop. I guess I'm supposed to try to learn his name. The one that was trying to track down Negan. Is currently being held hostage by the Croad. Anyway, I don't really. Does you really care? That guy didn't make. It's like a villain holding a villain captive. like I was trying to, hunt down and kill Negan. Also, so I don't really care what happens to him. He hasn't really given me a clear, definable reason to care. So. Anyway, but there's like a cage match and everything that happens. Basically, this episode features Negan and Maggie still talking to the same group they were talking to before about how to go at the Croad. So no real progress is made there, except at the end of the episode when Negan confronts this guy, Lucas. Anyway, and Lucas has the wanted poster of Negan and wants to, is like, no, we're kicking you out. And Negan's like, I'm sorry, the stakes are too high, and they get into a fight, which of course Negan wins because he's the series regular. He's the whole reason anybody's watching the damn show. So of course Negan wins. But before that, we also get this really interesting story, which is terrible for me as a blind user, because we have a non-verbal character again. I spent seasons trying to figure out what the fuck Connie was doing in the original series. Now we've got another non-verbal character that Negan. We backstory again to the mute girl from the first episode, the one that he dropped off somewhere. Apparently she lost her toy or stuffed animal or something, and he goes back and finds it because he's a hero now. I need a hero. It's just he's cute, cuddly, and adorable Negan now. And so he goes and finds the stuffed animal for this girl, and he's trying to get her to talk because he realizes that if she's ever in any sort of situation where she needs help and can't call for it, that's things won't work out well for her. So they do compromise, and she agrees to whistle, but she's like, no, I'm not talking. Like, no, no. And he gets really frustrated with the whole not talking thing every time. He's like, talk. He's like yelling at her. And nothing works. So finally he's like, he tells her the story of Lucille, and he's like, my wife couldn't get out of bed, and she'd do a little whistle for me, and I would come running, didn't matter where it was. So he teaches her that whistle, and she learns it. I don't know why this is relevant, because are we going back to that girl? This is a 6-episode season, so if we're going back to that girl, we gotta move fast, because they haven't even gone after the Croat yet. So either there's a guaranteed second season to this show, or we're just showing nonsense to people. Like we're just out there just fleshing out characters. Negan also shares a story about what happened to Annie in this episode. I thought something else happened to Annie, but I guess not. Annie, Annie went. He apparently put Annie on a wagon train to Missouri. That sounds so incredibly Yellowstone. When he said that, I was like, a wagon train? What is happening? So it's like, I mean, we see them using actual vehicles throughout the course of the series. You know, Daryl spent like 11 seasons riding around on a motorcycle, but Negan puts his wife on a wagon train heading out to Missouri. I don't know. It's very weird. Because he couldn't protect her. There was some time in this indeterminate amount of time between the last time we saw them to Dead City. I guess she had an interaction where she was beaten and had her crap stolen, and it's suggested he can't bring himself to say the word, but I'll say raped. And he couldn't, and she begged him not to do anything, but he's Negan, so of course he went and found the guys who did it, and I'm guessing they're probably not alive. It's probably the reason why that guy's after him, to be totally honest. But we haven't gotten that far yet. We haven't linked everything up yet, but probably the fact that he went and killed the guys that raped his wife, probably the reason why this sheriff is trying to find him. I'm gonna guess, but a lot of backstory about Negan in this episode. We get a little bit from Maggie. She kind of gives like the moment of when the Croads showed up and like the last thing Herschel said to her. And, you know, they had this contentious relationship because Dead City decided to turn Herschel into an emo teen. So like everything everything his mom says is just like, God. Like he refuses. He literally does the opposite. She says even in her monologue, like, if I had told him to go left, he would have gone right, just to spite me. It's kind of feels like that. So Herschel's a little pain in the ass, but they're gonna get him back. They're gonna try to get him back anyway. So I don't know why necessarily we needed a spinoff where Herschel gets to make it to the spinoff, but not Annie, and Annie gets sent on a wagon train. I guess this was the spinoff everybody wanted. Whatever, I don't care. I still like it. Negan is still being Negan, and Jeffrey Dean Morgan is getting a lot of opportunity here to emote and to do a lot of great dramatic work. He tries to do this thing where he listens to Maggie, and then he offers a story, and of course her reaction is, I thought you said you could shut up. But of course what he says is, you know, it's a nice dramatic offering to her dramatic offering. They're bonding. I don't know if these two will ever end up actually admitting that they need each other on some level. I don't mean like romantically, but like sort of like a yin and a yang thing. Like they just, for some reason, you need to have one to have the other somehow. You know, because, I mean, Maggie could have gone to anybody. Presumably, there are other people that she knows that are alive in this world, but she went to find Negan. She didn't really need Negan. I mean, she's trying to use this whistle thing as a... No, but what she really is doing is she's hanging she dangles the guilt trip constantly over Negan. That's why she uses him. If you killed my husband, I would go to Glenn, but I can't, because you killed him. So... even though there's no real proof that Glenn would have survived, I don't know, Alpha, for example. But anyway, that's Dead City in a nutshell right now. We didn't really go anywhere or do anything. We just kind of advanced. We did some character development, which only concerns me because I heard this is a 6-episode run. I don't know that this is a limited series, though. But 6 episodes is not... this is half. We're halfway through, and they haven't moved. So they're still kind of planning. They're planning the Herschel thing, and I feel like the Herschel thing is not going to be 1 episode. So we got to get up and get moving next episode. We gotta gotta push forward. Gotta get some movement in this show. Anyway, I like this episode a lot because of the character development for Negan. I really have found him to be a really complex character. Also, Maggie's in a completely different place, if we're being honest, from when she first debuted in Walking Dead Season 2. They're on Herschel's farm, and life was still had so many possibilities for her. Lauren Cohen has done a lot with Maggie also over the years. So these two actors have completely reshaped their characters, and in a totally believable way. I'm really happy that they decided to keep the spinoffs and spin off some of these characters. I personally would do more, but that's because I'm a Walking Dead fan. There were more that I would have done. I would have loved to see more people in spinoffs. So let me know what you think. But I'm gonna go with Walking Dead Dead City. I'm gonna give this a B+. I'm gonna drop it back down to the B+. I bumped it up last time to an A- just because that hurricane thing was so brilliantly Negan. But this time around, it's a lot of not going anywhere and just sort of meditating on these characters and who they are. And only because of the short period of time do I feel like, I don't know if this was the best use of time, but, Walking Dead originally had, the front 8 and the back 8, so they were doing 16-episode seasons. This is doing 6. So in the original show, this might have been a great episode because we had 16 episodes to get to where we need to go. Unfortunately, this is not a 16-episode season show, so I don't know that we can necessarily afford to do this level of character development and also get to where we need to go. I know that's me trying to predict the future, but that's my reasoning. Anyway, thanks for watching, thanks for subscribing. And yes, blind people like The Walking Dead too, and we would really love it if we could have audio description. It would just be, I don't know, I'd probably just nonstop binge watch The Walking Dead every day, just like a new episode every day, and just keep watching it over and over and over if it just had audio description. So, but anyway, thanks for watching, thanks for subscribing. I'll be back next week with another review of Dead City for episode 4. Until then, I'll see you guys on the other side.